Hey guys, thanks for swinging by. It's Retro Ruts. This week, I got some sweet items to share with you guys. I had a birthday a few weeks ago, so I picked up a couple things. I also went to a couple comic, toy, video game shows. Picked up a few things there. So let's check it out. So for my birthday a few weeks back, my 4-year-old insisted that we had to go to one of our local vintage toy stores called Cobra Collectibles, and I had to get one specific item that she knew I needed for my Thundercats collection. So she took me there, and she bought me a Companion Buddy Snarf. I've been looking for this for a while. It's been pretty hard to kind of score. It can be pretty pricey, but I got him for $30, which is a really good deal. He's in great shape. A little bit of paint wear, a little bit on the nose, but I mean, this is coming up to it's getting close to a 35-year-old 40-year-old figure. So it's in relatively good shape. I'm really glad to have this. I think for the certain figures I'm looking to collect for the Thundercats, I only really need Vulture Man now, so I'll have all the Thundercats and all the mutants. I'm not really looking at getting all the extra characters, all the extra villains and all that. I just wanted the kind of the main heroes and villains. I was also able to pick up a Thunder Tank a few weeks back. It needs a little restoration work, so I'm gonna do a little work on that before I share it. I'm hoping to be able to restore it to almost perfect condition, but we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted on that one. All right, next I got a couple awesome video games. First one I was able to pick up, I had this back in the day, and it was one of my favorite games, and it has definitely skyrocketed in price. It has a huge cult following. If you guys haven't checked it out before, it's Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Awesome game. It's a horror kind of based game, but more cartoony fun. They got all different types of movie monsters kind of in it. You got werewolves, kind of like a Jason character. There's vampires, mummies, all these different things. So you're going from level to level, and you're trying to rescue a certain amount of civilians. And once you get them all, then you go to the next level. It does get quite a bit challenging. I think there's like 100 levels or something in it. I've never beaten it myself, but awesome game. So glad to have this. I was able to pick this up for, I think it was $30 with shipping, which is unheard of. Like I've been looking for years to try to pick this game up again, and I usually don't see it anywhere under $70 or $80. So awesome score. So pumped to have this one. Next, another game I had on the Nintendo back in the day. I don't know where all my games went. Like, I had a lot of pretty awesome games. I think when I went away on vacation, I feel like my parents gave my system and my games away, and it really kills me now because I look at some of the games I had, and man, it would cost me a fortune to get some of those back. But one of them, I'm so happy I was able to get at a really good deal. I believe this was off Whatnot. Was the Flintstones, the rescue of Dino and Hoppy. If you haven't tried this game, it is so much fun. Definitely one of the best games I remember playing on the 8-bit. I don't think I ever beat this one, but awesome. It was kind of like a choose your own path kind of situation, and I believe you had to get so many parts to rebuild this time machine because someone had come back in time and kidnapped Dino and Hoppy, so you're trying to go back to the future to get it. I might even recall there being a Jetsons cameo in it, but I could be wrong. But awesome pickup. So stoked to have that one. Next one I got is not one I had as a kid. I didn't really actually play this until I was, an adult. Is Punch-Out. Now, it's not the Mike Tyson version yet, so I still have to grab that. So if people aren't aware, there's the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and then there's the regular Punch-Out. So in the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, which I believe is the original, Nintendo had signed a deal with him for so many years to produce these games, and he was the last boss at the end of the game. That licensing expired, so when they wanted to continue making the games, they just had to call it Punch-Out. And I believe the last boss was changed to Mr. Dream or something like that. So they're pretty much the same game. It just the end boss changes and the cover art changes. So the Mike Tyson one usually goes $50-$60, so I'm still gonna have to try to get that one, but it's definitely a staple I wanted to have for my NES collection. And then off of Buyer, I had I think it was when I bought the Dino and Hoppy game. They had done a giveaway on Whatnot, and I had won a complete inbox Tasmania Super Nintendo game. Pretty sweet. I believe this is actually based on the 90s Tasmania cartoon show.
Welcome to Atlantic's Way, under, down, under. The sky's always yellow in rain or shine.
Come to Tasmania, come to Tasmania.
Mom's alive, why her dad's never on a log. Molly's all fired up, or Jake plays with the dog.
Come to Tasmania, come to Tasmania.
So this one I think I'm gonna try to sell or trade in for something. It's cool, it's complete, and the box is in great shape, but it's just not something I need for my collection. I'd rather put this towards, you know, a better game that I want at my staple, like maybe a Super Metroid or you know, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, something like that. I want to have the staples. I'm not looking to do complete runs for video games, because that gets really pricey, and space wise it's really hard to do that. I mean, I can't even think off the top of my head how many Nintendo games alone there probably are out there, and it would cost a fortune to try to do a complete collection. So kudos to those of you that can do it. It's just not something this boy's gonna do. Next, like I said before, I had a birthday a few weeks back, and one thing I was really eyeballing and wanted to get for my collection, for myself for my birthday, was the black symbiote Spider-Man from the Marvel Legends Retro Spider-Man line. This is my favorite Spider-Man costume. Obviously, we all know, you know, the symbiote, you know, ends up kind of corrupting Peter a little bit, but it also makes him a lot stronger, and then it ends up becoming Venom, how we all know it. So one of the biggest comic book characters for Marvel, you know, in the 80s and 90s. Like, he was huge. Every kid knew who Venom was. It's kind of died off in the last 15-20 years, but it was definitely a huge pickup. I love this costume. I always have. I would love to get one of the you know, the Playmate, or not Playmates, the Toy Biz ones from the Spider-Man the Animated Series, one of the originals, but I cannot find that one. I actually came across one about a year ago, and I should have grabbed it. It was up for like $40. I don't know why I didn't grab it. Kicking myself for that one. But awesome placemaker. There's a whole bunch of new characters that came out in this line. I think I got most of the first line. I'm not gonna go deep and try to get all these. It's too many characters, and they're pricey. They ain't cheap. Like, these are, I think, $35 or something like that. So to try to get a complete line, and at some point you kind of have to draw the line and say, you know, I can't collect everything. Maybe grab one or two figures from that line. These ones I think I'm probably gonna open up, because I find with the Marvel Legends and the NECA, they look cool in the box, but you know, they're really meant, you know, to be kind of displayed, just the different poses they can do and all the different points of articulation, the different hands. So I think this is going to be an opener once I kind of get my basement finished and get my my retro ruts room, whatever you want to call it, set up. So I'm looking forward to that. A few weeks back, randomly someone had this up. I just jumped on. I got it for, I think, pretty sure I got it for $5. Super cheap. Wasn't something I was really like hunting for, but I was like, for $5, can't go wrong. This is the 1991 Toy Biz Marvel Superhero Spider-Man, mint on card. Card is in great shape. Like a little bit of a curve, but I mean, for a 30-plus-year-old figure, looks great. So he's got little suction cups on here. So this would have been the line they would have had out before all the kind of Fox animated cartoons came out. Like, it started with X-Men, then you had Fantastic Four, Iron Man. I believe Spider-Man was kind of the last one, but that was the biggest one. And at that point, Toy Biz had bought Marvel, so they were pumping out these shows, you know, just trying to sell these toys, which we know the 80s and 90s were giant. The cartoons were giant toy commercials, right? So I can't blame them. You know what? And I think that's part of Marvel's success now. Is those cartoons were such a huge part of our childhood, especially when you look at X-Men and Spider-Man, and they did so many crossovers on there. Like, it was the MCU before the MCU was out there. Like, I remember in the Spider-Man cartoon, you had the X-Men, Blade, Iron Man, Captain America, who else? The Fantastic Four were in there, Daredevil. Who else? There was a time, like, the number of crossovers was awesome. But I think that kind of led to the success, 20 years later, for the MCU and how successful it is now and why we love it so much. And last thing picked up, just randomly walking through Walmart, and when you go to Walmart, you tell your wife you're going to pick up the groceries, you're going to go to the toy aisle and just see what's there, right? So sure enough, on the shelf, found this Masters of the Universe reissues, whatever they call them. I can't remember the official title, but they had the Sorceress. Now, I don't know about down in the States, but up here in Canada, these are pretty hard to find. We're not seeing a lot of the other characters. It's certain ones we see, but this one's a pretty rare one. It was the only one there, so I snagged it. I'll probably open these. I don't think these are going to be worth as much carded, and you're starting to see that carded collecting is kind of dying out a bit, especially for newer stuff. And it's better, I feel, to kind of display this stuff, like to store it and to display stuff on card. It's really complicated. All right, so that's it for this episode, guys. Thanks for swinging by. I'm always glad to see you. And if you haven't already, if you want to give me a thumbs up or a subscription, that'd be awesome. And you know what? Feel free. Leave me some comments down below. I'd love to read them. But until next time, Avengers, assemble.